Hi everybody, Jay the Fish Guy here. Today we're going to talk about a little more advanced topic. It's probably not going to apply to any folks that are just starting out with the aquarium unless they're planning ahead for future needs or they have decided already they really want to do SBS corals or other high demand corals. A question I get pretty frequently from folks is, which should I do? A dosing system or a calcium reactor? I personally feel that the dosing systems have reached a level where they've pulled away from calcium reactors on most applications. And the reason why I say that is I look at it as analog versus digital. Calcium reactors are a great tech. They've been around for a long time. They're awesome on very large systems, where you have just wall-to-wall SPS, large water volume, and a ridiculous demand for calcium and alkalinity. But they are much harder to regulate the exact amount that's going in. And what I mean by that is you can figure out your tank's draw for alkalinity, calcium, magnesium through testing. So if you're testing every day at the same time, you can see how much your tank uses any of those levels. So let's just say, for example, in a 24-hour period, you notice that your KH has gone from 9 to 8. That tells you that your tank has a draw of 1 DKH a day. You can't set that for a calcium reactor. You can set the effluent drip rate. You can set the pH level inside the chamber of the calcium reactor. But you can't really say, I want to put in X amount of effluent, and that X amount is going to give me a point of DKH. It doesn't work that way. Whereas with dosing systems, you can figure out that each milliliter of liquid that you're dosing will give you a certain amount of DKH, of calcium, of magnesium. BRS has this great calculator on their website. If you use their trace elements, you can say, my tank is this volume size. I need to raise the level by, let's say, that 1 point. And it will tell you how many milliliters a day you need to put into the tank to address that, to address that 1 point in DKH. So then when you have that information, you go back to your doser, and a lot of the modern computerized dosers now, you can say, I want to put in, let's say, 30 milliliters of alkalinity buffer a day. You figured out that's what you need per day to increase your KH level that 1 point. So in essence, you're compensating for the draw. So you can tell it exactly how much to put in, and it'll dose it every hour. So they take that 30 milliliters and they break it up into equal doses over the course of 24 hours. So there's no this every time you're putting in buffer. So even if you're manually dosing and you're really good about it and you put in, X amount every day, you still have the peaks and valleys. It's not staying constant. So the doser by far is the most efficient way to do it and safest way to do it really too. So my money is always on the dosing units, and to get started, they're actually quite a bit less expensive to do than a full-blown calcium reactor setup, because you got to buy the reactor. Most of them come with pumps, sometimes they don't. Reactor system, you got to do a CO2 bottle, you got to do a pH controller. If you don't do a controller and you're just kind of winging it with a bubble count, don't do that. I've seen many a tanks nuke because a bubble count went bad, a drip rate went bad, and all of a sudden their alkalinity is 30 in the tank and everything's melting. So if you decide to do a calcium reactor setup, you really got to do a pH controller. But again, I don't typically recommend calcium reactors. You really have to go with the dosing systems. Easier to set up, easier to pinpoint exactly how much you need to put in for your draw, and kind of set it and forget it. Once you get that figured out, all you got to do is make sure you top off your dosing containers and that they stay full, and that's it. You're good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.